I would love to encourage Mr. Darwin and others that feel just like him to try God.
Darwin died in 1882. I don't think he's likely to be trying God anytime soon, except that he also started out religious. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here, and we've got ourselves a crop of creationists to address. And while I will be talking about their lapses in logic, I think far more important is the undercurrent of fear in what they have to say. Take a look.
If somewhere within the Bible I were to find a passage that said 2 plus 2 equals 5, I wouldn't question what I'm reading in the Bible. I would believe it, accept it as true, and then do my best to work it out and to understand it.
This kind of argument, this God says it, I believe it, that settles it kind of argument makes no sense, because you can see that it's not true. 2 plus 2 equals 4, right there in front of you. Let's suppose I have a box of marshmallow peeps, 5 to a box, and I say I'm going to give you 2. How many do you think I'll have left? Count them. And that's just one way this belief will mess up your world. Imagine doing something big like, I don't know, paying for things, or doing other kinds of equations. The fact is that 2 plus 2 equals 4 in base 10, every time, and I don't care what your God says about it.
I can't even fathom coming from this little thing that crawled on the ground to apes to being human. It just doesn't, it sounds crazy to me.
Quantum mechanics sounds crazy to me. I can't fathom what most of those scientists have to say. But that doesn't make it false. If I did my homework, I'd bet I'd realize that, yeah, they kind of got a point.
When you have generations of people being taught that evolution's fact, and therefore Genesis is not true, and you have to reinterpret the Bible, why shouldn't we do what we want to do? There's no absolutes, therefore we determine what is right and what is wrong.
And that's bad.
And this is where we get into that undercurrent of fear. Because what I'm hearing is, I don't like it, therefore it can't be true. It never seems to occur to these people that it might just be tough noogies. They don't seem willing to consider, much less accept, the notion that perhaps the universe is an unguided, unfair place and we're all on our own, improvising.
To put man down as just an animal, that we're no different than a dog, a horse, an elephant, or a cat or anything else, is totally preposterous.
Someone else who hasn't done his homework, I guess.
God made us in his image. And so to say that man is an animal and God created man in his own image, so does one come back and say, are you saying God is nothing more than an animal?
And this, to my ears, is still more of that fear. I'm not special. I'm not blessed. I'm just one more piece of the universe not chosen by a God? Unacceptable! That's what I'm hearing anyway. It's denial of reality because it does not conform to one's desires, does not allay one's fears. Correct me if I'm wrong.
What that does, it puts God so remote that we can safely ignore him. He's way back at the Big Bang, and he really hasn't done much since.
Which makes him relevant how? Which gives us a reason to believe in him. Why exactly?
To think that I had no communication with God would be so devastating. I can't even imagine adopting such a view just to make peace with Darwin.
You see what I mean? This is fear. This is using God as a security blanket.
If that's the way the world works, if it is just this mechanical thing that God set spinning in place, then you believe in a God that doesn't intervene in nature, that takes away any possibility of miracles, any possibility of answered prayer, any possibility of the resurrection. And in reality, you take away the possibility of Christianity to be true at all.
The thing is, this seems to be their entire argument. There's no follow-up to show that it's true. All they seem to be saying is, if we're not right, then it's not real. But it has to be real, therefore we're right. If their religion isn't true, then the world becomes a much scarier, much less certain place. And it sure sounds as if they can't handle it.
If I were asked, what is the primary reason I believe evolution is incompatible with biblical Christianity, I could sum it up in one word for you: death. If you want, add pain, suffering, and death.
While it's true that evolution has a lot to do with death, has death as a major component of its functionality, that's not what this guy's talking about.
I lost my first wife to cancer, and now my second wife has cancer, and so do I. Whether we're young or old, death is inevitable. And how do we deal with death? How does evolution deal with death?
Two things. A, evolution is not a moral or philosophical system. You are off, repeat, off topic. And two, religion is not required to find ways to cope with pain, suffering, and death. There are completely effective secular ways of learning to deal with tragedy. And honestly, I don't think you could get much more obvious when it comes to illuminating my premise that these people are afraid, and unfortunately turning to fantasy for solace. But what's the solution? How do you get through to people whose starting position is that the Bible is always right, no matter what? I don't know, but I'm going to keep looking, and I hope you'll look with me too. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think.